Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to season 1, episode 4 of the Small Talk podcast. I almost said live with CDP, but season 1, episode 4 of the Small Talk podcast with Anandi Carol Woolery, my co-host, and myself. And we're looking forward to our guest today. And I'm going to bring on my co-host, Anandi Carol Woolery, and she'll tell us a little bit about our guest today too. And hope everyone is doing well on this Friday, April 28th, 2023. And I was just thinking it's going to be May. So 1 second, I'm going to bring on my wonderful co-host, Anandi Carol Woolery, and we're just waiting for our guest. Good afternoon, Anandi. How are you doing?
Hi, Chris. Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well on this Friday. I was just thinking to myself, I think Monday is May 1st. Where has the time gone?
I know I'm in before May 1st is April 30th. So deadline, that's to remind us. May is coming. I would May is probably my favorite month of the whole year. Canada.
For me, it's June because it's my birthday. So June's
my
favorite month.
Yeah, maybe I'm biased for me because it's my wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
It's also Mother's Day, so maybe I'm biased towards me. But yeah, that's amazing. Where has the time gone?
Goes by too quick. Anyways, our guest Jim is here, so I'm gonna bring Jim on and let you introduce him to everybody, to our audience. 1 second. Good afternoon, Jim. How are you doing? And thank you so much for coming on our podcast, the Small Talk podcast today, Jim.
I am doing well. Thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity to be a guest on your show. I really appreciate it. So my name is Jim. My last name is Eby. And I am one of the owners of Eby Manor. We have the dairy herd here, which is Eby Manor Farms Eby Manor Farms Incorporated. We also have the retail business, which is Eby Manor Farms Limited. So they both fall under Eby Manor.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you. I'm so excited that I could have one of my friends, someone I count as my friend, to be on podcast. When we started it out, the cons was people that we had just met through different situations, and then we found out something interesting. We found out interesting about lives, and we've had some fascinating guests so far. And I'm so pleased we can add dairy farmer and business to our list of esteemed guests. So it's all about this talk. So I thought just to give our listeners and our watchers today just some background as to where friendships can lead. How did we meet? Do you remember how we met? 30 years ago?
It was through our church, actually.
It was through a church. Yeah. That's right. So we I was new to the city. We had come. My husband and I had just moved from Ottawa. We were back at university, and we ended up Northside Community Church, and that's where your family was, Jim.
Yeah.
Yes. And so not only with Jim, but there's Jim and his wife. There are a wife, Ruth, and the young children as well that would have been younger. Maybe of them were my age too. Maybe their oldest one.
So we have 5 children. Our oldest is Rebecca, and then there's Rachel, and there's Rebecca and then Ben, and then Rachel, Sarah, and our youngest is Reuben. And Ben and his wife Sherry, they're partners with us in the business, both in the farm and the retail business. So Ben and Sherry, they pretty well do most of the management of the farm now, whereas I'm managing the retail business. And so I'm still involved in both, but I still enjoy the farm very much. But I don't have time to do everything, everything you want to do. And I remember, Anandi, when the first times you and Lenoy were out to our farm, and really enjoyed talking with you because you seemed to have such a broad understanding of the political implications of farming and like the quota system, and you just had a lot of questions and you dove pretty deep, and I was impressed with the amount of knowledge that you actually had.
Right. Maybe that matched into my future career. I ended up being an auditor. Maybe that was a good fit for me. And now do this podcasting. I have this natural curiosity, and you have a great way of gauging the understanding of the other person. And whenever you explained things to me, you did it in a language that I could grasp, and I could understand. So going out to the bar, coming to visit you, like if visited you at milking time, yeah, you just come in the barn. You want to see the milking, and once in a while we would come up. If there's a calf being there's a calf being born.
Right.
And we'd come in and you'd show us that, I remember once coming and there was a calf being born, and it had obviously been going on first, but we got there just as this new little baby was coming into the world. And I thought it was amazing to see birth. It was just things I had read before, like James had Harriet books about people's birth. To see it in life was amazing. And I remember this, lifted up the leg to check the gender, to check the sex, and it was a male, and you were not happy.
Always happier when it's female.
Yeah, we're in the dairy business. We want female. Yeah, and as well, yeah. I also wanted to mention your parents, Howard and Annie Eby. They also met them through church as well, and maybe they were more on the retired side by the time we would come up to visit you in the farm. You were over at that point.
Yeah, I think my dad was still somewhat involved at that time, but slowing down. Obviously, his eyesight was getting poor. And so that was, it was really hampering the amount of involvement he could have. So, but yeah, it was my mom and dad, Howard and Annie Eby, that purchased the farm that we're on in 1959. And so over the course of the time, I farmed with two of my brothers, and then my one brother went off on his own. Then I farmed with just my other brother, David. And then eventually we split up the business, and my wife and I took over ownership of the farm here.
Right. One of your brothers, it might have been David, was he doing poultry?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because you took us over to his barns as well, and I think and I didn't realize that poultry was I knew because my grandfather had a little farm at home, so we did do a little bit of hobby farming, but not the level that Dave's doing it. So yeah, there was the barn. And like you guys were explaining that for different suppliers, they did chickens at certain ages. And this was for meat. I don't think he did eggs. I think he was doing meat. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all for meat. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And we'll let Chris jump in because we're kind of talking a bit of talk now, and we're really interested in the history. So I'll let Chris jump in with questions.
Okay. Hey, Jim, it's nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. I have to be honest with you. I probably should drink more milk than I have. I can drink milk in cereal, but I can't drink it plain. So I probably should start drinking a little bit more milk. But one thing I wanted to ask you, part of the question I wanted to ask you, here it is right here. How much did the pandemic affect your business from 2020 to 2022? And what partnerships have you formed in this initiative in terms of bottle suppliers, delivery supply chains, grocery stores, etc.? And is your product available in Guelph?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So the pandemic actually didn't have too much of a negative effect on us. Our sales certainly shifted because we do supply quite a few restaurants, and of course the restaurants were closed down. So and when they were open, they were running at a much lower level of patrons. So that definitely affected us. It was interesting because there were some stores that actually and restaurants that actually it killed them. It just destroyed them, and they've never reopened. There were other stores and restaurants that we saw they pivoted fairly early in the pandemic and began things like takeout where they weren't doing takeout before, or like some of the small grocery stores, independent grocery stores started doing home deliveries, and that actually worked out very well for them. And I think sometimes some of those places our sales actually may have gone up some. And definitely at the farm. We have a store here at the farm, our own dairy shop, and our sales definitely increased during the pandemic. We found that the buying habits of people changed a little bit as well. Well, first of all, people like to come to the farm because they didn't have to go to the grocery store and be around so many people. So that was an advantage to us. But also we found people's buying habits changed too, because people were now staying home making breakfast, which apparently most people don't do, or I should say most, but a lot of people don't do, right? They just head out for work and maybe grab something on the way to work or whatever. And yogurt was a big one. Yogurt really increased in sales. So we thought, well, that makes sense. If people are home making their own breakfast, a lot of people like yogurt, they make smoothies or, have it with granola or whatever, So that was, to make a long answer short, the pandemic wasn't that bad for us. Now, I wish I could say that about everybody, but certainly, like I said before, a lot of businesses, it finished them right off. They couldn't recover. You're wondering about what partnerships have been formed in this initiative. Yeah, we work with a lot of business partners. Our bottle suppliers is Stanley Park. They're from they're actually a Canadian-owned company in Ontario, but they also have a very strong presence in the United States. They make all our bottles, do the artwork on our bottles. And then we work with Pack, which is a company out of Montreal that makes our yogurt containers. We have to work with various labeling companies and so on as well. We do have one major distributor for us. They're called John Luca. Now they've actually joined with another company, so they're called John Luca Neal Brothers. And they have a fairly large distribution area. They were a very young company when we started, and they've grown exponentially, actually. So we do sell maybe close to 20 to 25%. It's at least 20% of our product goes directly to their warehouse in Toronto. And then we've partnered now with 100 Kilometer Foods. You may have seen their trucks around. They service mostly like the food service industry, so it's restaurants, cafes, those types of venues. And then we have another smaller distributor in Toronto called Mark's Mushrooms. We're just in the process of pursuing a partnership with another delivery company called Annex Go Fetch, and they will do home deliveries or store deliveries, or basically they'll cover the whole market. So this is another initiative we're working on right now. And then we do our own delivery as well. We have one truck. It's very busy. It's on the road basically 5 days a week, 6 days a week, really. And so we have five very busy delivery routes that we do. So we deliver as far north as Mount Forest, far west as Stratford. We go as far east as Cambridge, and then south we go. Actually, we have some stores between here and Hagersville where milk is processed. So grocery stores, we are our biggest grocery store outlet would be Sobeys.
Okay.
We sell in quite a lot of Sobeys stores. We do Whole Foods. We do Goodness Me, Fortino's. There's quite a number of actually smaller grocery chains that we work with as well. And then a lot of independent stores. Some of the better known ones in the area would be Vincenzo's, which is possibly our best retailer. And then we do quite a few health food stores, natural food stores, as well as cafes. We service some cafes as well.
Yeah, you have big bottles, just Jim, and then you also have the smaller chocolate milk ones too. So
Yeah.
And I'll see the chocolate milk.
Yeah, we're just actually transitioning our cream. We debated whether we should do it in 1 liter or half liter. So we did the 1 liter, and now we're actually transitioning out of the 1 liter into half liter, beginning actually next week, just because we find there are some customers that 1 liter is too much for them to get through.
It's a commitment.
Well, yeah, and then others they'll buy several 1 liter bottles. They think they're not going to be as happy with a half liter, but we can't do both because we don't
Yeah, you have to manage the inventory and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So so no, actually, I'll turn back to you. You can ask me the questions, and I'll try to answer them.
Oh, okay. Well, I was wondering as well if you wanted to mention the ice cream partnership you have.
Yes. So we have a working arrangement with 4 All Ice Cream in Kitchener, and 4 All make a very decadent, high quality ice cream, and it's made entirely with our milk, our whole milk, and then added 35% cream, which I source from them for Hewitts Dairy. They have a scooping shop
So the
in
cream
Kitchener.
comes from Hewitts. Okay.
Yeah. And it's a good match. We can't do 35% cream because we don't have enough volume to do that. So if we did, they would be using our cream as well. But it's a good match because Hewitts cream is all natural. There's no additives to it, and so it's it's a good fit really for the ice cream.
So that's another partnership too, right? Hewitts is in the mix as well. Yeah,
we sell the 4 All ice cream in our store as well. It's a very good seller.
I love the local connection. That's so important to us as well with this podcast too. We wanted to put focus on local businesses. So I'm going to lead into other question here. So I wanted our listeners to understand this was a undertaking for you for your family business because you do things differently. When I met you, I guess even before I met you, I didn't realize your grandparents had a farm in Stanley Park. That's looking in your bio. This is multi-generational.
Yeah.
Multi-generational.
Yeah. My dad actually became the first. His grandfather was my grandfather would have been what you call a mixed farmer. And then my dad became solely a milk producer.
Okay, the milk producer. And so what did milk producing mean for Howard then? Your father, he was selling in bottles, if I understand. He would have been selling to a dairy plant. So back then, when my dad started farming, you got a contract with a dairy, and then you sold the milk directly to that plant. And there was a lot of disparity back then because some were paying better than others, but the big thing was there was a lot of surplus milk in the system, and the farmers never really knew for sure how much surplus milk there was. They just had to take the plant's word for it, and so they would pay you so much, what they call number 1 price, and then a number 2 price, which they said was for the surplus milk, and it would be considerably less. And sometimes it could be 60% was number 1 price, 40%, or it could be number 2 price, or it could even be 50-50. So it was my dad had just bought this farm then. It was 1959, and they were getting stretched pretty hard financially, trying to keep up with their payments and and generate enough income from the milk. And then they heard that Maple Lane Dairy, which was a dairy in Kitchener at the time on Lancaster Street, that they had been offering more lucrative milk contracts to farmers. So my mom went in to see him. My dad was very skeptical as to if there was any opportunity there to do that. So my mom actually went in and spoke to the owners, and they said, we'd be very interested in having you become a supplier of milk to our dairy, but we would need you to switch to Guernseys. They were milking Holsteins at the time. Oh, okay.
And there was a very strong demand for Guernsey milk. And so after giving it some consideration, they decided to switch breeds. So the income from the herd actually increased, a fair bit when they did that. And one of the reasons was because there's no surplus of Guernsey milk. There's a growing demand for it.
Right.
So that was, but that was sort of a short-lived thing because I don't know exactly anymore how long it was, but within a couple of years, the Milk Marketing Board was formed. And the reason for that was to control the supply and surplus so that farmers could be guaranteed a better price for their milk. So there wasn't the pricing system anymore. And so they lost some of that advantage. So one of the things that the marketing board did, they did a lot of good for the dairy industry. There's no denying that. The problem was kind of took a bit of a sledgehammer approach, and you were no longer allowed to market breed-specific milk. It all had to be pooled. It all had to be sold as milk. So the official statement from the board was milk is milk is milk. And those of us who were producing Guernsey milk or Jersey milk for that matter, they knew the quality was substantially higher. And but they couldn't, there's no way to really, to have that recognized in the market,
Right.
Anymore.
In a premium way, right? It wasn't recognized as premium.
Yeah, so all had to be pooled. And that really took, over the years, the Guernsey breed really took a beating because of that. And a lot of the farmers who were shipping or were producing Guernsey milk switched back to Holsteins because the Holsteins produced more milk, so you could produce, larger volumes. You could produce more milk from per stall type of thing. So the Guernsey breed kind of went into a bit of a tailspin. But then, we started processing milk in 2012. So probably 2 to 3 years before that, we started hearing rumblings from the Dairy Farmers of Canada, Ontario, which is the Milk Marketing Board, that they were looking at allowing farmers to develop their own markets for their milk. Now, the thing is, it has to, in order to keep the supply management effective or working, the farmer would have to actually technically sell his milk to the DFO and then purchase it back, process it, and then sell it. So the farmer could become the processor and the retailer of his own milk.
Right.
By branding his own milk, the idea was to create more markets. And it was a brilliant idea because people like to buy something that's different. They like to buy a concept, and sometimes that concept was just local. They've kind of tweaked the system now so that if you're going to do that, you can't just sell standard milk. The majority of milk comes from Holstein cows, so you can't just sell standard Holstein milk. There has to be something different, coming up with some new innovative products or something to make it stand out. So we qualified on a number of fronts because ours was different from a different breed. We do like a 4.8% whole milk, cream top milk, which you couldn't buy. So now we're 100% A2 as well.
Right. Another concept was the bottles as well, Jim. Now, was that like a necessity by doing in bottles as opposed to bags or plastic?
Yeah, that was another.
Was that just a necessity was that a more marketing or was that more a practicality of how you can do it?
It's a marketing. It was totally part of the marketing strategy. So if you put your milk in glass bottles, it does showcase it better. And with the Guernsey milk, we wanted people to see the difference in the color because Guernsey milk is higher in beta carotene than other milk. So it has more of a golden hue to it, we call it. And so you'll see that in the glass bottle, whereas if it's in a, cardboard packaging or plastic, you wouldn't be able to see that. So it was definitely, and milk definitely, it retains a fresher taste in glass. It doesn't pick up any flavors. And it'll stay cold longer, once it's out of the fridge. So there are definitely some advantages. And then, of course, from environmental, perspective, you're not adding garbage, to the dump sites all the time because you're reusing those bottles. And then once the bottles are,
it's a deposit system for the bottles, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then once the bottles are, if the ink comes off, wears off eventually, or if they get chipped or cracked or whatever, then they go to recycle, and the glass is at least it's supposed to be all recycled again. So,
I was just going to ask you about that as well. The cost might be a little more for glass, but definitely it's a better tasting product being in glass. Now, Jim, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions I didn't have written down, but since I got you on here, just how competitive is the industry, and have you guys ever thought about expanding nationally outside of where you are now?
Yeah, it is competitive. There are more farmers now who are processing and selling their own milk. Now we are one of the few that actually have our milk co-packed by a processing plant. other farmers that have, taken the bait and started doing this. They actually are putting on their own, building their own micro processing plants on the farm. We looked at that initially and decided not to do it just because of the high overhead. There's a lot of investment, a lot of extra work and responsibility. So we were fortunately able to have Hewitts Dairy down in Hagersville do our processing for us, and it's worked out very well. So our thinking was we'll focus on production and on marketing, and then we'll let the experts do the processing for us. So that's the route that we've taken in regards to that. And I think you asked me something else. I forget what. I
possibly
went on a trail there.
Yeah, possibly expanding naturally.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so we are actually outsourcing most of our own milk now and purchasing milk or taking milk from another farm, sometimes two other farms, depending on what we're producing. And they're all Guernseys. They're farms that were Holsteins, and they switched to Guernseys. They're only a few kilometers from our farm, and they're young farmers, very forward thinking. And so we offered them like an incentive if they would go on to Guernseys, and then we'd be able to use their milk as needed. So we've done that. And so we've been able to grow that. Otherwise, we were not going to be able to continue to grow. Somebody else will get that. Somebody else. So we do want to continue to grow, and at some point maybe add more Guernsey herds. As far as going nationally, I think that would be a little bit beyond our scope. At this time of the year, there's lots and lots of opportunity for growth within Ontario. We have been selling a little bit to Quebec. We may pick that up again with new distribution opportunities, but our main focus really is this area because there's so much opportunity in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. There's such a large population right on our doorstep. So that's where we really like to focus our growth on, because that's where, we're already doing the deliveries, and then we have a store here so people can go to the store. And but we don't turn down other opportunities for sure, through our distributors. But the margins are much smaller that we make when we sell through a distributor.
Okay, thanks, Jim. I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, and she's going to ask you the next question.
Sure.
I don't know if she froze up or not. Okay. And Andy, are you still there? She might have froze up there. So that's the joys of technology. Sometimes it works great, and sometimes there's little issues. So are you there, Anandi? I can't hear you, Anandi. I can see you, but no audio. We'll just give her a few seconds. If not, I'll ask you the question, and hopefully she can get her audio issues fixed. Yeah, I definitely can see her good. So, but I really appreciate. Okay, can you hear me now? And Andy? Still no audio. No audio. Can't hear you. Yeah, no audio. I can see you, but we can't hear you. Well, Jim, while we're waiting for an Andy to get her audio fixed, I'll just ask you this question that she was going to ask you. When you're not spending time with the cows, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
To be honest with you, my work is pretty much all-consuming. I just turned 71 years old, and I know people ask me when I'm going to retire. I have, excellent health. I've got lots of energy yet. So I'm really passionate about our business yet, and continuing to do what I can to see it continue to grow, and hopefully for the next generation to be able to benefit from that. So I do spend a lot of time with the business. Other than that, it would be family, and I do have church involvement as well, the church family. So and the Guernsey, also our Guernsey Breeders Association, I'm involved in that. I'm a past president of our Guernsey Association, so that's something I've been involved in quite heavily over the years. I have been involved in other agricultural organizations as well, been on some committees and so on. But right now it's just as far as agriculture, it's currently just the Guernsey Breeders Association.
Well, I will ask, can you hear me now? Is that okay?
Yep, you're on.
Okay, so I will add to that. Does your wife have any plans for you when you retire?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to do any traveling?
Yeah, well, we're actually planning a trip to England this summer.
Okay, nice.
And I know my wife would start laughing right away because we're going to a World Guernsey Conference.
There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
We've been to a number of them. We've been to South Africa to one. We've been to the States to a couple of them, and there's a lot of touring, a lot of camaraderie. It's a really good time. Plus, some business meetings as well. But so we're planning on going to England first 2 weeks in June.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So I love your herd. Like I've seen the evolution of your herd over the years. Now, you had a Jersey at some point though? I seem to remember.
We had a number of jerseys at one time.
Yeah.
And they're good cows. Every breed has its own strengths and its own weaknesses. The jerseys have become a very popular breed now, or much more popular than they used to be. Right. But we wanted to pursue this Guernsey market because we really knew there was an opportunity there to sell Guernsey milk. Guernsey milk is very unique. The flavor is.
Yeah, tell us more about that, because that's what, there's the local angle, there's the bottle angle, but I think the milk itself is the big draw. Tell us more about it.
So we Guernsey milk has always been known for its quality, its high quality, its flavor, and so we do our lowest fat milk is our 2%. And that's very popular with cafes as well as just, regular customers. And the reason cafes like it is because, first of all, it froths better than regular 2% milk. And secondly, the richness of it comes through in the coffee. And, baristas will tell us, the customers will comment on the flavor because of the milk. You can have a really good quality coffee, but if you're not putting in good quality milk, it's not really going to help you any, right? I mean, it's not going to make the coffee that much better. But if you have a really good milk in it, it'll certainly affect the coffee. So, Baden Coffee, they use our 2% exclusively for all their specialty coffees, and they buy very large quantities from us. Eco Cafe, they do as well. Then there's a number of other coffee shops around the area, Camellia's, number of restaurants that will use it for their, if they do specialty coffees. And then we do whole milk, which is a minimum of 4.8% butterfat, and it's a cream top. So it's the way people would remember it, older people years ago when the cream would rise to the top and you'd have to stir the cream back in. So that's how our whole milk is. The reason we did that was because we knew there would be, we believe there would be a specific group of people who would like that. It's not for everybody, but we find particularly with immigrants, people from India, Pakistan, those countries, Middle East, but also Eastern Europeans. That's what they want. That's what they're looking for. And they absolutely love that. And then we do a 10% cream. It's pure, just milk and cream. There's no stabilizers, no, added sugar, no additives at all. And again, once you get, people tell us this all the time, once you start using that, it's very difficult to go back to your standard grocery store cream because just the purity and the richness, the flavor of it. And then we do 4% chocolate milk, which is very decadent, very, very popular. Then we do whole milk yogurt, which again is 100% pure. It's just milk and bacteria culture. And then we do make a cheddar cheese, and now we're doing a Havarti as well.
Oh, because your cheese is life. I love your cheddar cheese. Yeah. We come up to the farm.
Try the Havarti.
I will try the Havarti. Yeah.
The thing is with the Guernsey milk, and I don't want to sound braggy because I'm bragging on the cows. It's the breed. People say, like, why is your milk taste so much better? I say it's the breed of cows. We do the best job we can, but so do a lot of other farmers. But when you're getting your milk from a Guernsey cow, that flavor is outstanding. And like Golden Hearth Bakery, for instance, they use it in their baking, they use it in their croissants. And there's restaurants will make their own ricotta with their whole milk. As I say, they can't buy ricotta that tastes as good as what they can make with their Guernsey, whole milk. So that the flavor of the Guernsey milk will come through anything that you make with it. So it's a real advantage. Then the other thing that our milk is unique about our milk, it's 100% A2. So our whole herd has been tested. Our cows all carry the A2 gene, which means there's no A1 in our milk. And for people who aren't familiar with those terms, it's referring to a specific enzyme or molecule that makes up the protein, which is beta casein is one of the parts of the protein. And there's one molecule in there that can be A1 or A2. So most milk that you buy, standard milk, will be more A1 than A2. And a lot of people react to the A1 protein. It's inflammatory for many people, and it can cause stomach upsets and digestion. A lot of people, you'll hear people say, oh, they get mucousy, when they drink milk. And that's the A1 that does that. It can cause ear infections in kids sometimes, and cause inflammation in the joints. So wherever a person has a susceptibility to it or a weakness, that A1 protein will attack that. And with our milk, and this is far more impacting than we ever thought it was going to be honest with you. We have so many customers that tell us, oh, we can drink milk now. It doesn't bother me anymore. We don't get stomach upsets or this or that, or we don't get the achy joints or the sore knees, and these are things that we never even dreamt about when we started. We knew it'd have some impact, but not to the extent that it does. The other thing is that two areas where it's very impactful is autistic children. We've had like direct feedback from parents who've switched to our milk and switched their autistic child to our milk, and they say within 2 days they'll notice a marked difference in their demeanor and their behavior. Less indigestion, things like that. And the other one is diabetics. And I hesitate to say that you would get the same results with every diabetic, but
right, it's anecdotal, not medical advice, but you're just sharing stories that you've heard, right?
Yes. And what they'll tell you is that it doesn't affect their blood sugar. Even though Guernsey milk typically is a little sweeter, it doesn't affect their blood sugar like standard milk does. The first time we heard that was from a woman from Guelph who called us, and that was quite a number of years ago. And I never knew that it had an effect on diabetes. And she said she has a daughter, she's 2 years old or something. She has juvenile diabetes, and she says she has such a struggle getting enough carbs into her. And because the milk would just spike her protein or her blood sugar level in the morning would be high. And she tried our milk, and she said her blood sugar stayed pretty much constant, and she just couldn't say enough about it. Like, she was so happy about it. And then since then, we've heard of other diabetics telling us the same thing. So I did do some research and found out that is one of the claims of A2 milk.
Okay, very cool.
Well, some of the things I will, just throw this out there, is that the evidence is, like you say, it's anecdotal. There's no, they have not yet, the science hasn't caught up with the evidence yet. As far as being able to scientifically say this is how it works. There's a lot of, there's theories as to why it works, why it's different. All they do know is that it is, there's overwhelming evidence that it's not trigger that inflammatory response that many people get from regular
right. Well, that is amazing. You have an amazing herd. So bragging on the cows again. Do you have any prizes or any prize-winning cows? Also, what is your favorite cow? Do you have one cow that's your favorite?
Yeah, I've had a lot of different favorites over the years. We still do a little bit of showing. We showed at our we call it our national show. Guernsey show was at Ancaster Fair this past fall, and we had a winning 4-year-old, and she ended up being reserve grand champion. Her name is Lemon. She's a beautiful cow. She doesn't have she has kind of a unique temperament though. She likes to grab at you. Every time you go by her, she'll just grab you and try to pull her to herself. You know, she's really grabby, but she's not as affectionate as some cows. Guernseys can be very affectionate and very docile, where she's a little bit more aggressive that way. She just likes to grab on you and give you a tug, you know, try to pull you towards her. But anyways, yeah, probably the best cow we still have in the barn is a cow named Anandi. She's been a really good producing cow, and a very good, called confirmation cow.
Good. Over the years, I've heard different names. Was there a dog as well in the past? Can't remember if it was a dog or a daisy. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I can't remember specifically.
I remember it must have been some years ago. And there was but I remember even the bull. I do remember visiting, and he was a scary guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. I just love that there is this connection that you have with the product that you sell. That's not just widgets in a factory. Like you are aware of milking rates and their nutrition you have to provide to them, and the living conditions that you have to provide to your herd. So there is that of scientific element. I feel that you and your family go to visit. There's an affection that you have for your cows, and it's a family too. I think that shows up the quality of your milk.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I wouldn't deny that. I feel I've always felt a very strong connection to our animals. You know, it's something that's just there, and that's why I enjoy them. You know, I enjoy so much. I get really attached to them. You know. Oh, the one thing I was talking about the milk, kind of going back to what we were talking about before about the uniqueness and the benefits of the Guernsey milk. It is also more nutrient dense than your standard milk. So your levels of protein and calcium will be naturally higher in Guernsey milk than in your standard milk. And the same with butterfat. Of course, our 2% is standardized to 2% butterfat, but it tastes more rich than regular 2% milk. It tastes more like a homo milk. Like it's very flavorful, very rich tasting, and full bodied, I guess you might say.
Jim, I just wanted to ask you a question. I've been to the States a lot in Canada. What is the major difference between the milk in the States and Canada? And for those who are watching or listening to this podcast show later, who have never had any of your products, including myself, what would you say why they should try your products?
Well, our slogan is taste the difference. No, our slogan is see the difference, taste the difference, enjoy the benefits. And I think that kind of says it all right there. Our biggest, even though like I talked about the benefits of the milk, the number one selling feature of our milk is the flavor. And once people start drinking our milk, they generally don't go back, or they don't want to go back to drinking regular milk. It's just the flavor is pretty noticeable that you get the quality of the flavor from the Guernsey milk. Yeah. As far as the States, they don't have supply management like we do here, so their milk prices fluctuate, quite regularly, because they'll have, when there's good demand for milk, the price goes up. When there's a surplus of milk, price goes down, and so. When price goes up, farmers are trying to expand, and they become their own worst enemies in a way, because they start flooding the market with milk, and then the government eventually will step in, and sometimes they do. They'll step in, they'll bail them out, right? Or they'll come in with a program to try to alleviate the situation, and which costs money. It costs everybody money when they do that. But as far as the quality goes, I don't. A lot of people say things that I don't think are necessarily true. I think There is good quality. There is definitely good quality milk in the States. Now, it might depend on the plant, it's processing it and so on. But you can't paint them all with one brush. I know one of the things that the Americans were using for a number of years was bovine somatotropin, or BST, which is a synthetic hormone to cause the cows to produce more milk. And that was banned in Canada, but it was allowed in the States. And they've actually pretty much quit using that now. They said it was a bad experiment. I think a lot of it had to do with public sentiment and so on. So there's other things too. Sometimes there's antibiotics that become restricted in Canada that they're still allowed to use in the States. And I mean, I don't know whether they're really justified taking those antibiotics off the market or not. There's a lot of misinformation about milk in regards to the safety of it. We work under very, very strict protocols in the dairy industry, well, in the food industry in general. But I mean, I know firsthand what the protocols that we have to follow in the dairy industry with animal husbandry, like how you look after your animals, to what goes into your milk, what goes into your feed. Cows. A lot of people have the idea that if you're not organic, that the milk has antibiotics and you're using antibiotics and hormones. Well, that's not true. We do use antibiotics when a cow requires it, and that's because of an infection, a life-threatening infection, right? And when the cow administered antibiotics, there's a withdrawal time that the milk has to stay out of the system. And it'll depend on the antibiotic and the length of time that you have the cow on that antibiotic. But the milk is not allowed back in the system until it is deemed pure again, or from that antibiotic. Any residue that is in that milk, if it goes into the tank, it'll be detected at the plant, and that whole truckload of milk will be discarded. And the farmer who is responsible for that has to pay for that milk. That's the penalty on top of that. So it can be, cost the farmer thousands of dollars, if they milk a cow and put her milk in the system and it has any type residue at all, the milk will get detected. So when the milk truck comes to the farm and picks up the milk, they take a sample from every tank. And so one is for the milk components, for the quality of the milk, still on bacteria, those sorts of things. And the other one is for antibiotic residue. So those samples are all safe. And before that milk tanker is unloaded, they will test it at the plant. And if it shows any antibiotic residue, like I say, the milk truck has to be turned around. The milk has to be offloaded in kind of a waste facility. And then they will test all those samples and find out whose farm was responsible for that. And then that farmer gets dinged, And like I say, it's a very serious thing. So farmers are they're extremely cautious when it comes to using antibiotics and things like that. But but there's this I guess this myth out there, whatever, that milk is antibiotics and hormones and this sort of thing. That's there's natural hormones in milk from the cow, but there's not added hormones and antibiotics in the milk.
Jim, are you okay for two more questions and we'll wrap it up?
Oh, I don't know if I am, because I'm a hotel in Ottawa and I have to leave at a certain time.
Okay.
I was wondering maybe there'll be one more question. What were you thinking? But I think we kind of know. Well, two quick questions, and then I got to fly. I'm in Ottawa, big my family, so okay. I have to vacate this hotel room. 15 minutes. So go for it.
11 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I can stay on with Chris.
Yeah, you could do that too. Because we're going to share a little promo button too. So, Chris.
I was going to say, Jim, what is up next for Eby Manor Farm, which is obviously located in Waterloo, and where can our audience find your company on social media and the hours of operation, and for those people who might be interested in coming for a visit to your farm?
Mm-hmm. So the best way is just to go to our website. It's all you have to do is Google an Eby Manor and it'll come up. That's the simplest way. Just Google Eby Manor, EBYMANOR, and you'll find it.
Yeah, and you're on Facebook. You're
on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Grace does an awesome job on your social media. So if you're on Facebook, you may be on Instagram as well. I'm not sure to say Twitter, but definitely
Instagram, not
a lot
Twitter.
of engagement on your Facebook and your Instagram pages for sure. Yeah. And what's in the future, Jim, for you? What's up for Eby Manor Farm? No, cream. You talked about cream. Any other initiative?
Yes. I hate to say this publicly because we get asked for this all the time, and that's butter. There's a few things we have to still figure out logistically in doing that, but we're hoping one day to be able to make Guernsey butter. And the other one we've been trying to get going is eggnog, but we have to, because we have our milk processed at Hewitts, and Hewitts Dairy is owned by Gay Lee, and they've been really good to work with, but we've been having some real hiccups trying to get the eggnog started.
I think you want to have eggnog this past Christmas, but you weren't able to get it off, if I recall.
We couldn't get it started, no.
Yeah.
We have to have the support from Hewitts Dairy, Gay Lee, and they have to come up with the recipe for us. And it's just, they've restructured things, and the way the system works right now is just harder for us to get new products started for some reason. And the difficult thing is that we can't communicate directly with the people we need to talk to. It always has to go through a third party, and that makes it very difficult. It's just it makes it unwieldy, right? So, anyways, those are, and then there may be new cheeses, we don't know. As far as milk, we'd love to be able to do 35%, but we don't have enough volume to be able to do that because we don't sell much low-fat milk to be able to generate that cream.
Oh, right. That's true. That makes sense. That's actually automatically that makes sense. And I do want to definitely put a plug in for your store. I love coming up to your store.
Oh, thank you,
so you go for me. I'm coming from Waterloo. I'm on Highway 85. The about there by Peanuts. I'm sure I take the road coming off right. What is that? Is that wheat? Not wheat. That is
there's Sawmill Road. You come off Highway 85.
Are you on Sawmill?
And then you turn left on Weeby Place.
And you turn left on Weeby, and you cannot miss it because there's a big milk bottle. It's like
a big milk bottle sign. Yeah,
it's a big milk bottle sign. And turn Weeby Lane and going left. There's parking. It's a beautiful store. It's a bit of nostalgia. And now you know where your milk is coming from. And your hours are pretty flexible. I think you're closed on Sundays. But other days you're open 6 p.m. So if you want to take a drive after work, just go up and come out. Are you still doing tours of the barn?
We're not doing organized tours right now. We just haven't had enough help right now.
Okay.
But people can come out and they can. We do have a viewing area where they can see the cows.
It can, just to peek at it. Yeah. It's a beautiful experience where your food is.
We're just not sure where we're going to be with help for this summer. We depend on a lot of part-time help and stuff, and so whether we'll be able to offer organized tours or not. But if people request a tour for a group or something, we generally can accommodate that.
Okay, yeah, it's an awesome experience, and if you're looking for part-time this summer. Apply. Are the jobs on the website, or I guess they can go to and ask for more information.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been amazing. What do you think, Chris? I've learned. I know Jim 30 years, and I've learned a lot.
Yes. Now, one thing I'm not sure about. Do you guys sell cottage cheese? Because I love cottage cheese.
No, we don't.
Okay.
No, we don't make cottage.
Okay. But I'm definitely going to have to try your yogurt and some of your products as well. Before we wrap this up, I have a video clip that promotes your company. Is it okay if I play it? It's from your from the YouTube channel. It's about 5-6 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll wrap this up. And Jim, like Andy said, thank you so much for coming on today. And I've learned a lot as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Nice to see you both.
Nice to see you. I'll see you soon up at the farm, Jim.
Sounds good, Nanny. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Anandi.
Bye.
Jim Eby, and I would like to invite you to come on a tour with me of Eby Manor. Eby Manor was established in 1952 by my parents, Howard and Annie Eby, and in the 1960s, they transitioned to buying and breeding Guernsey cattle. The farm is currently owned by myself, Jim, my wife Ruth, and my son Ben, and daughter-in-law Sherry. They have 4 children, and we're all involved in the farming operation. Our farm is located in Waterloo County. We're roughly 2 kilometers from St. Jacobs. We milk 60 registered Guernsey cows, and the reason we milk Guernseys is because we have a passion for the Guernsey breed. We have a passion for the cow. It's a very docile cow, very beautiful cow. The Guernsey produces a very high quality and good tasting milk. The flavor of the milk is unique in that at any level of butterfat, you get more of a richness to it. It's a full flavor, and people will notice the difference almost immediately. In fact, oftentimes when people try our 2% milk, they believe that they're actually drinking whole milk, and they're surprised when we say, no, it's only 2%. That flavor is very unique to the breed. One of the things that is distinct about the Guernsey milk is the high levels of beta-carotene. Guernsey milk has more beta-carotene than milk from any other breed of cow, and that's what gives the milk a nice golden color when you look at it. There's also some health benefits to the Guernsey milk. The Guernsey milk is a more nutrient-packed milk. There's more butterfat, more calcium, more protein than your standard milk. Many people who have milk intolerances find that they're able to drink the Guernsey milk without any issues at all. And that is because Guernsey milk is predominantly A2 beta casein. Some people with diabetics find that when they drink the Guernsey milk, they're able to control their blood sugar levels better than they can with regular milk. They tell us that it doesn't cause their blood sugar to spike the way it does when they drink conventional milk. We have a store on the farm here. We call it Eby Manor Dairy Market. People come to the farm, they can buy these products, plus a few other local products that we carry. So twice a week, our milk is sent to Hagersville, where it is processed and bottled. We process the 2% Guernsey milk, 4.8% cream top, Guernsey whole milk, 4% chocolate milk, 4.8% all natural yogurt. We also have cheese that is made with our milk that we sell in our store. There's also a couple of people in the area that make ice cream using our milk. One of them is called For All Ice Cream in Kitchener, and we sell their ice cream as well. The reason we decided to package our milk in 1-liter glass bottles was because we felt it was a more environmentally friendly way of packaging our milk. We also find that milk in glass bottles retains its flavor better. It will taste fresh longer than it will when it's packaged in other types of packaging. And also the fact that the milk will stay colder once it's out of the fridge. Our milk is sold in many locations throughout the area. Our biggest market would be Sobeys at the current time. We also sell a lot of milk through Whole Foods in Toronto and Ottawa and various places. We also have a distributor now in Montreal who is growing our milk sales in Montreal as well. If someone wants to buy our milk, they can look on our website, www.ebymanor.ca, and there's a store locator on there, and you can find a store that would be closest to where you live. Our cows are kept in a traditional tie stall barn. The cow's comfort is very important to us. We spend a lot of time making sure the cows are kept clean. They're bedded every day with fresh straw. They're standing on rubber mats under straw. The cows get out for exercise on a regular basis. Our cows are called a TMR feeding diet. They're fed 4 times a day. It's a mixture of the various feeds that they get. We work very closely with the feed nutritionist as well as with their veterinarian to make sure that the cows are getting the proper nutrients they require. The cows are fed a high forage diet so that the bulk of their feed comes from forages such as corn silage and hay. Also, the feed that we grow is all non-GMO as well as any feeds that we purchase. So we're 100% non-GMO. And what that does is it gets us access into the health food stores because that is one of their standards for products that they sell. Our cows are groomed on a regular basis. We keep lots of fans running in the barns to keep them cool in the summertime. Our goal and the way we feed our cows is to have cows live long and productive lives and to produce high quality milk. We're not so much about producing high volumes of milk as we are about producing high quality milk and having the cow, as I said, on a diet that will help her to live a long and a productive life. So they're treated very well, and we feel that our cows are very contented, and as I say, they're happy cows. It's been extremely gratifying to us as a family to have started this venture when we hear the feedback that we get from our customers. Many of our customers will express to us how much they enjoy the quality of the milk, the flavor of the milk, and the benefits. I would like to invite you to pick up a bottle of Eby Manor Golden Guernsey milk and experience the quality and the flavor that we have to offer. I'd also like to invite you to come to our farm and visit Eby Manor and see the cows for yourselves.
That clip was courtesy of your YouTube channel, Jim, and thank you so much. And I definitely will have to try your products as well. I can't drink anything with chocolate in it. I stay away from chocolate, but I'll have to try your strawberry milk and your yogurt. I love yogurt.
Sorry, we don't have strawberry.
No strawberry.
No strawberry.
No. But
Okay.
the yogurt and cheese, you will not regret it.
Okay, deal.
You put fresh strawberries in your yogurt. It'll be just wonderful.
Deal, and maybe I'll have to pop up to your farm and have a visit and maybe do my a little TikTok social media visit with coming up to your farm at some
Oh,
point.
that'd be great. That'd be great.
That would be great. Hey, on behalf of Anandi and myself, thank you so much, Jim, for coming on episode 4 of the Small Talk podcast today. And we both really enjoyed speaking to you. Any final thoughts, Anandi?
No final thoughts. Just Jim, thanks again for coming. You know, we were in touch, so I'm going to see you soon. All the best. I'm so happy to hear there's creams like that to my row of EB products in my fridge. So, yeah, all the best. See you soon.
Okay, thank you very much. It was certainly my pleasure to be part of this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. And I will send you a link to our episode today as well, if you'd like to promote it on your website as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you. Okay.
Oops. Anyways, and Andy, I will let you go. We'll wrap this up because I know it's after 2. But I learned a lot today from Jim, and thank you so much for having him come on as a guest today.
Yes, I don't where it may. Oh, I know. Small talk again. I was at the farm buying milk, and his wife was there that day, and we were just chatting. And this light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like, oh, Jim would make a fantastic guest. 1 second. Come on in. So Jim would make a fantastic guest. And she said, well, you call him yourself and fill out. So yeah, I was able to reach him. And yeah, he was a great guest. Hi, come in. I don't know if it's housekeeping or for family, but we'll figure it out. But I just wanted, what's coming up for next month, Chris? I guess we have to stay tuned for our guests.
Yeah, I do have another guest lined up for May. I just have to confirm a day and a time that'll suit his schedule and our schedule as well. But yeah, I look forward to doing episode number 5 in May sometime. And as soon as I get some more information and confirmation, I will let you know, and then we'll post it on our social media pages. And before we go, I've got to say thank you to everyone watching this live streamed on Facebook, on the Small Talk Podcast Facebook group page, on LinkedIn, on my YouTube channel, Twitch, and Twitter, and also later on 14 audio platforms as well. And I am going to talk to the station manager for my radio station and have perhaps have this episode air as well, because I thought it was a great show today.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, definitely go for that. And we can go international.
Definitely.
Let's do it.
Definitely. And again, they're located at 1174 Weeby Place in Waterloo, Ontario. And you can call them at 519-664 2560. Or
Yeah,
check
it
out
might be
their website.
Conestogo on Ontario, but like Jim says, Google it. They have a Google page as well. Directions. It's a wonderful trip. Yeah, check them.
And their website finally is ebmanor.ca as well. But and Andy, I want to say this was a great episode, great guest, and just give me a little bit of time, and I will download this to audio platforms, and I will send you copies. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend in Ottawa. And
Thank you.
look forward to doing episode number 5 with you in May.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. And all the best. I know you have a busy weekend. You can't interview. I believe you got some media ahead of you. So all the best and wishing you success.
Thank you so much, Anandi, and we'll talk to you soon on social media. Have a great afternoon and weekend in Ottawa.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, we're just wrapping up season 1 of episode 4 of the Small Talk podcast with my co-host Anandi Woolery and yours truly. I want to say thank you to Jim Eby again from Eby Manor Limited in the Waterloo area for coming on today. And I hope everybody enjoyed this show and learned about the milking industry. And it was nice to have a founder and CEO of Eby Manor Limited, Jim Eby, come on and talk about his family business. And please always support small local businesses as well. So, guys, that's about it for today's season 1, episode 4 Small Talk podcast. And give me a little bit of time and we'll have this downloaded to audio platforms such as Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, LinkedIn, Castbox, Stitchered, and Tuned In as well. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Enjoy Major League Baseball action tonight. Enjoy the NFL draft. And I hope you all have a great day, great weekend. And we'll definitely see you guys in May for season 1, episode 5 of Small Talk podcast. Again, with my co-host Anandi Woolery and yours truly. And as soon as I have a guest confirmed and date and time, we'll post it on social media. All right. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Great weekend. And we'll see you guys in May for the next edition of Small Talk Podcast.